Thank you. So right now we're saying that we really wanted to help support and boost compost projects. And by being on this call, if your group has not applied and is not already in the process of moving forward on a community match fund project related to compost, being on this call or having someone on this call from your town that's in municipal government will extend the compost boost dollars until the end of the year. So essentially until December 31st. And so we're really excited about seeing more projects come to the table that are related to compost and food waste diversion. On the line, we've got a couple of team members from Sustainable CT, and I'll pause and just let those folks introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Hunt, Communications Manager with Sustainable CT. I'm glad to see everybody here. This is great. This is fantastic.
Hi, folks. Torrin Radiccioni here from Sustainable CT. Thank you all for joining us. This is one of our highly attended webinars, so really happy to and excited to dive in.
Perfect. And again, I'm Joseph Dickerson, and many of you have met with me in some capacity at some point in time. I run the Community Match Fund. And so then on the folks that were so willing and generous with their time to share a bit of their experiences, we have folks from both Fairfield and Southbury. Both have run successful community match fund projects that are related to compost. Actually, Fairfield is in the process right now of running a community match fund project for Fairfield Public Schools to set up almost a complete district-wide. I know that there's like a couple of like little satellite schools that aren't quite in the program yet, but getting really close to essentially having their whole school district move over to a full food waste composting program. And then the town of Southbury going ahead, and they ran a successful community match fund project early last year to expand and set up a greater amount of infrastructure around composting in their town. So maybe what I'll do is maybe just quickly, I'll have folks from Fairfield. Could you introduce yourselves or your title, what you're focused on, and then I'll do the same thing for Southbury.
I'll start. I'm Mary Hogue. I'm the Secretary of Sustainable Fairfield, and I had been the VP of Sustainability for the PTA Council, which overarches and helps bring all our PTAs together. And a new person who just moved into town raised her hand to take it over this year because my kids are not in the system, so I was having a hard time being able to do stuff. And so I promised that I wouldn't leave her. So we work together, Megan McHale. She's amazing, and she is not able to join us because she's on vacation.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lisa Alberts. I am in one of the school districts in Fairfield. I am co-PTA president of Mill Hill Elementary School. I am also the co-lead of Mill Hill's Green Team. And we ran a match program last year that was very successful.
And what about this big event that's happening soon for you guys in DC?
So because of our sustainability efforts at Mill Hill Elementary School, next week, both myself and my co-lead Ellie Fatehi are going to DC to receive a Green Ribbon Award for Mill Hill.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. And Becky.
Hi, so I'm Becky Bunnell. I am the chair of the Food and Waste Committee of the Sustainable Fairfield Task Force, and I've been working very closely with Mary Hogue and with Megan McHale to put this grant together, which we are in the process of raising quite a bit of money to roll out school food composting to 5 additional schools for 2 additional years. So it's been very exciting and a big challenge for us, but we're very confident that we'll reach our goal.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Southbury.
Oh, I just want to say, and Becky ran a sustainable CT grant 3 years ago to help get information in our tax bill. So thank you for supporting us on that.
Great.
Yeah.
Southbury.
Yeah, my name is Chuck Liddy. I founded Sustainable Southbury, and I also run a few of the subcommittees, including our food waste subcommittee. And of course, we've had a big focus on trying to reduce wasted food, which I'll take you through a little bit of what we've been doing over time and how Sustainable CT has actually helped us through the process.
Thank you, Chuck.
So should I
Yes.
go? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Helena Hoover Liddy. I'm a volunteer with Sustainable Southbury. My background is as a registered dietitian, helps me have information and help people to cut back on food waste in their homes. So that's kind of been my part of this project.
Awesome. Great. Good to see you both here. And just to give folks an opportunity to introduce themselves, since we have a lot of folks on this Zoom call, which is really exciting, just so that you can be here and be present, if you'd be willing to share your name, your organization, and what town you are located in. And if you're willing to just drop that in the chat, that'll help us give folks a sense of who's here and your connection to your town and to composting. So I want to just kind of kick things off, and since we've got some folks who really have some deep experience with the Community Match Fund, but are obviously working very closely on a Community Match Fund composting project at the present time, or have recently completed so. We wanted to bring folks together to have a conversation and to share best practices and ideas about how they were able to utilize the Community Match Fund to support composting in their towns. But it's not necessarily just about the Community Match Fund. It's also about the thinking and the planning and the strategizing that went in beforehand to really develop ideas about how composting could be successfully implemented in their town or their school, and what would be the process and steps that they would need to go through and alignment from their town to be able to make that happen and make that a reality. And it's amazing what folks are able to bring to the table. Sustainable CT, our goal is to try and get out of the way and really just support great community leaders in doing great things in their towns. And we hope to see even more of that. And we're excited to have everyone here that's in that vein. So with that, we're going to have the team from Fairfield go ahead and start, and maybe just kind of introduce the concept idea, and I'll let you kind of roll from there. And then we'll switch over and give Southbury a chance to share about the project. And then we'll have lots of time for Q&A and discussion after they've shared.
Is it okay for me to share my screen so you can see the patronicity page?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just wanna, come on now. So here it is. And first of all, great support from patronicity and from Cameron. So that's one thing that was actually a surprise to me, because I had not been part of the other programs, but I just really think it's important to know that along with, I should say, the work with Joseph and getting this going, the folks at patronicity are incredibly helpful, great cheerleaders, give you really great tips on how to get the word out, and constantly keeping track of where you are and what you're doing. So that's really great. So this is our page. So again, we actually have 18 physical plants, because we have an alternative high school, and I just heard this morning that they are composting at their school. So we currently compost at it says 3 schools, but actually we have 2 high schools. One of our high schools, the Eco Club run by the kids, has been using tumblers. Everything seemed to start spring last year. We finally like dislodged all the things in the way. And I have a document on all the things that we're planning to do besides composting in the schools. But so the plan is, and I'm a master composter, so I always give presentations about composting. And the thing that I try to encourage people is that you want to compost as little as possible, because as Helena was saying, you don't want to waste food. And so you want to get the food used at the highest level possible. So first is what we're doing at the schools is we're having share tables so that the kids within the school can get the food. And then we're going to have pickups with the food rescue folks. So the school district is buying us refrigerators. Mill Hill has theirs, so they have to buy refrigerators for all the other schools. And then we are able to then from there do composting. If we were near places that had farms and animals that would eat the food, we'd go there. Our local ShopRite does. That's how they do their food waste. So that's the next highest level. And then compost is the second to last. So in the USDA hierarchy, that's out of 7 levels, compost is pretty far down. So you really don't want to compost a lot. And I know a lot of people feel like there's a competition to compost more than the other guy. It's like it's the opposite. So I just want to point that out. And then Lisa, I guess, could explain what they did at Mill Hill, because working with curbside compost, we were able to include trays, and the amount of trash went down considerably. So I'll just give you this picture and you could talk.
Sure. So Mill Hill, prior to composting, we had 6 trash bags per day just in the cafeteria alone. Now that we are composting, we are down to 1 trash bag per day. We have this right here that's on our screen is a picture of how our composting station works. So we have our compost bin up front, and then we have a table in the middle for carton recycling. They empty out their milk into the strainer. So anything like straws or anything will fall in there if there's something in there. And then there's, you can't see it in this photo, but there's a little smiley face they put the cartons into, and we recycle the cartons separately. And then the trash can is over on the end. With this newly developed system, we were able to divert 2.1 tons of food waste per month at Mill Hill. It was very successful. We were so proud of our students, and our faculty helped out as well. We had a lot of parent volunteers. I would say within 2 weeks, the kids had it down without any help. They knew what they were doing. It was really a simple thing to do. Our custodians jumped in and helped. It was a really great thing that happened. And so, yep, sorry.
I was just going to say, along with Lisa and Ellie, the school custodian is getting to go to DC. So that was very exciting.
Yeah, yes, our head custodian has been a huge help in all of this. We kind of bring in what we want to do, and we work together with our custodial staff to figure out what the best way to do it is. And they were very helpful in implementing. We also, as Mary had said, we do have a food sharing table. Anything that is still wrapped at the end of the cafeteria period, one child is chosen to be the ambassador of food collecting, and they go around and collect any unused food. We have 2 refrigerators that the food goes in, and we work with Food Rescue CT to come and have pickups. And our pickups currently are, we're going to a youth group in the next town over. So we had pickups 2 days a week, which was very successful as well.
Yeah, so and just in terms of our fundraiser, as of this morning, we have 66 patrons. We've raised 46.35, but again, the PTA Council is going to vote on something that will give us $5,000 this Thursday. So we'll be close to $10,000, which is really exciting. And a lot of people, I think over 70% of the people are covering the fees, which is great because that saves us money as well. So the one thing to point out is that this fundraiser is for 2 years. And the reason that we wanted to have which is also a different way of this grant being done, because usually you have to expend your funds in 1 year, I believe. But next year is a big year for our salaries and the Board of Education budget. All the union contracts are up. So we just figured there's no way we're going to be pushing a big new expense. So that's why we wanted to ask for 2 years to be covered. And since we started working on this in the legislature, SB or HB 6664, which is now a public act, something or other, is requiring schools to compost by January 1, 2025. So this gets us there going faster. So again, we have, aside from this, this is a compost pickup versus composting on site, but the high schools will be doing composting on site in tumblers. So the Ludlow High School has been run by the Eco Club, and they have 3 tumblers, and they feel that that's sufficient for now, at least. And the Ward High School, well, we have restaurants because in our schools, because part of the school programming is to learn family and consumer science. So they run the whole, they make the food, they serve the food, they do the whole thing. So they're going to start just in that restaurant at the other high school. And the reason for us to not do all of our schools is because of the volunteer needs when you start up, which maybe Lisa could talk more about.
Yeah, sure. So at the start of our composting, we had parent volunteers come in. So our lunch period lasts, each grade has their own time, and that's throughout all of the elementary schools. They're divided by grade, and each grade has about 20 to 25 minutes of lunchtime. And so, it lasts a little over 2 hours. And so we divided it up amongst parents. We had 2 shifts, and we had at least 2 parents per shift. And it was really important, we felt, to have those volunteers in there to help guide the students, especially at an elementary level, where everything goes, and also explain to them why and what's happening with it. Our elementary program facilitator did send out a video that all of our classroom teachers showed the kiddos prior to putting this into place. And then as they were doing it, we had every class that had come into the cafeteria, we made an announcement. We kind of talked to them through it, what it would look like, why we're doing it. And, they were very excited about it. We also later did another little special program about 2 or 3 weeks into it, worm bins. We had worm bins created, and we kind of showed them, the food that you are putting in this compost, these are some of the things that we can use to then feed our worms, create soil. And it was awesome. It just kind of made the program even stronger. They were very excited about it. The education of it in itself was great. It was great watching the kids. So we had volunteers for about, I would say, the first 3 to 4 weeks. Which is a lot of volunteers. And then we kind of slowly dwindled it out. And, I would go in and check every so often, and they had it down. They knew what they were doing, but it is important to definitely have those volunteers for the first couple of weeks.
And so that could be an issue for people at schools. I know in other schools in our district, part of the reason that didn't get rolled out to the full K-5 was because for security reasons, they don't let anybody in the schools. So that's one of the things that we are trying to work on right now, is working with the superintendent to modify that policy, because we need to be in there. The staff is just too busy doing other stuff. So I don't know if that's an issue for other people, but we had 2 schools in the budget. They never fully rolled out to the entire grades because it wasn't going as well, because they didn't have the extra support to get it off the ground. So
it's critical.
Yeah,
That's really critical. So any last statements before we hand the mic over to the Southbury team that you wanted to share either Mary, Lisa, or Becky.
Yeah,
Actually, let me jump in and just share one of the other things we feel is really important. We're trying to raise a lot of money with this grant. Yes, it's being matched 1 to 5, but we're also trying to cover 5 schools and divert up roughly 140 tons over the course of the program. So we needed to really make sure that we reached out to everyone that we could, and we put together a really robust outreach program, which I think is important for any grant that anyone is doing. We have 3 waves that we're going to try to do. We are reaching out, obviously, to our Sustainable Fairfield group. We have a newsletter, we have Instagram and social media. All of the green teams are going to be reaching out. There's several sort of online social media types of things in town that we have, something called Moms of Fairfield, we have Next Door Neighbor, but basically we sort of took a look at everything we could that would allow us to get the word out. Our first select woman actually puts out a newsletter that reaches about 26,000 people. So we already were in that in the first wave, and hopefully she'll support us for the next 2 waves as well. But I think a key metric of being successful in these grants is making sure you have a really robust outreach and communication program. So I just wanted to sort of put that out there for those that are looking to do a similar kind of a grant.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. We have, I'm going to write in the notes right now, check out our Instagram handle. It's at Mill Hill Goes Green. You can see our past and current social media efforts to promote our fundraising. We also currently have 3 of our students, actually 4 of our students who are on our green team who are creating a video right now to help promote as well. We find it more engaging for the students and the parents, and the students see it, then they, talk to their parents. And we find that a lot of times, like talking to the students, they bring it home with them, so it's a really good marketing tactic as well.
And I think something, I just wanted to point out, the fall pumpkin pickup is, we do put the bins at the schools. We ask people to not put the pumpkins in during school hours. We did this last year at 7 schools and diverted 6 tons of pumpkins, which is crazy to me. And the tip on that, which we just couldn't believe, is that people hold on to these until Thanksgiving as decorations. So we got way more most of our pumpkins after Thanksgiving. We kept thinking Halloween was going to be the big pickup. So if you're planning to do that, you might consider timing so that you only need the container for that 1 week after Thanksgiving. But that was a big diversion, and we hope to, include the same number, if not more.
Perfect.
Yeah, and just one last thing, we met with all the head custodians last week, and I think that was really key because it gave them the ability to own it themselves, because they were able to give comments and suggestions. And the other group that we need to meet with, which is on a school by school basis, is the paraprofessionals that monitor the cafeteria. So we've been told by the staff that the best way that you can incentivize them and honor what they're doing is to send a letter of support of how great they are and send it to HR. Because we were trying to find ways, we were going to buy them this or that or the other thing. And they said, no, the best thing you can do is send a letter of support to HR and CC my principal or the superintendent. So
awesome. So great ways of sort of thinking broadly about who's impacted, how to bring them on board, how to keep them engaged, and ultimately how to have those folks be a part of the solution. So really great. Thank you so much for sharing. If you start having some questions or things that pop up to mind, go ahead and pop them in the chat. We've got Torin, who is managing and overseeing the chat room, doing a great job of that. But wanted to give a chance to Southbury to go ahead and share some of their experiences and to chat about kind of what food programs and composting programs they did in Southbury. So I'll turn it over to Chuck and Helena.
Hello, everyone. So I want to take you through our journey to reduce wasted food. This has been going on for quite some time, and it'll go on for a good deal longer. It really is a journey for us. Sustainable Southbury formed in 2019, and by the fall of 2020, we had enough members, enough volunteers to form a food waste subcommittee. So we chartered that committee, and we knew this was going to be an area where we needed to focus on some long range things right away. So we started two big things that fall. We started raising awareness in the community on how just big the wasted food problem really is. I think that, we've discovered along the way, and we knew going in that most people really have no idea that it's such a big problem. And we also knew it was going to take a lot of discussion and a lot of effort to start getting the town engaged in helping us reduce wasted food. So we began those discussions early on in the formation of this food waste subcommittee. And what we were doing with the town at that point is we were talking about really more than just organics diversion, right? We were talking about pay to throw, we were talking about recycling. So we were just trying to sensitize the town to this whole waste issue that we saw coming more and more so over the years. So these two threads continued on into 2021. During that period of time, we started cycling through public works directors with the town. Unfortunately, we've had now three public works directors since we've been at this in 2020. So, each time we'd get one public work director excited about doing some things with the town, they would leave and we'd sort of have to start all over again. But another big milestone for us came in 2021. During the summer of 21, we were awarded the first grant, and we were very fortunate to get it. It was from the GROW grant from the New England Grassroots Fund, and we used that grant primarily to start our business food waste reduction program. And we did that because we knew it was going to take a while for the town to get going. We were still raising awareness through social media posts and other venues around the food waste issue. But this was something tangible we could get started with. And so we had these monies. What we did is we heavily subsidized food scrap collection at the businesses we were working with. But we also did a lot more than that. To Mary's comments, we really were trying to help these restaurants in town reduce their wasted food. So we brought in the Center for Ecotechnology, and they provide customized recommendations and implementation assistance. They go through an audit with the business and the restaurant, and they really help them reduce both their kitchen waste and their plate waste. They also try to connect them with donors, and we've been assisting with that a little bit. A lot of the food waste that these restaurants generate is often from events, and our food bank really isn't set up to do that. We haven't had a little bit of success at connecting a local farmer to come in and take some waste from one of the restaurants. So that's been helpful, and we're trying to find more farmers to add to that program. So we've had, in that time frame, we had 3 different restaurants that we were working for. And of course, absent of the donation and absent of reducing the food waste, we brought in curbside compost, a hauler to take that food waste away and produce either compost or biopower from it. The other thing we did is we kicked off really the next phase of raising awareness, and we called it the Food Waste Roadshow. It built on the things that we had been doing prior to that. Elena's going to take you through a little bit more detail on why we did that and what it amounted to. Of course, we still continued on with town discussions on with yet another public works director as we got into 2022 with that. But another pivotal moment for us was, getting this sustainable CT community match fund, under our belts. And I'll echo Mary's some comments about the patronicity support. It was really the first time we tried to do any sort of large scale fundraising, certainly a classic fundraising. And we really didn't have any idea how to go about it. The patronicity folks were fantastic, and the support the Sustainable CT gave us was fantastic on it. And it really helped us turn this into a big success for us. We also applied for 3 other grants. So between all of that, we were able to raise about $19,000, which is great because, we've been asked, why didn't you go after the state grants? And, our town just wasn't really ready to do that. And they needed a lot of help to go through the application process anyhow. We didn't have the bandwidth to help them. So this was a great alternative for us. So, excuse me. So out of those funds came our present programs. And what we've done is we've expanded the food waste reduction program into a generalized business waste reduction program. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, about why we did that and how we think it's helping with reduce wasted food. But we also started a transfer station program. So third time was a charm with the public works director. We were very happy to get a drop-off program where residents could bring their food scraps to our transfer station. It's the so-called Scarsdale solution. We have the same hauler, curbside compost, that comes and takes those food scraps. We just got this started, and it kicked off July 1st. And we were very excited that we collected 2 tons of food in the first month, which we think is pretty good for a town of about 19,000 people. And we didn't expect to be at this level this quickly, but to the comments about public outreach, we did a ton of public outreach around this. And we did press releases, social media releases. We've been at events. We literally were at our transfer stations on the busiest day, handing out pamphlets to all the people that use the program. We gave out over about 9,000 pamphlets about the program. So, all of that had a huge effect and helped make it successful. So I'm just going to turn it over to Helena, and she can tell you a little bit more about the Food Waste Roadshow.
Okay, thanks. All right, so we created a presentation that we offered to the community to address the problem of food waste. So we started this before we were able to get the transfer station program going. And part of it was to talk about the problem of food waste, to talk about the sources of food waste. Where does everyone think that it comes from, and who are the biggest contributors? And then ways to reduce food waste in the household. One of the things that we've learned here in Southbury anyway, is that when we talk about things like this, we emphasize the economics of it, how it's reducing food waste in the household saves you money. Most households, as I'm sure you guys know, throw about 25% of their food away. So there's a big chunk of money that is just being wasted. We also, of course, mention the environmental benefits, but we always emphasize the money first, and that seems to fly better here. Then the last thing we talk about is what to do with the food that is left over. There aren't many uses for banana peels and things like that. So we talk about composting rather than throwing it in your trash. And now that we have the program up and running at the transfer station, we're finding that people are really appreciative of the program, but also so surprised by how much food waste they generate. So my real hope is that now people will work harder to try to cut back on that food waste and not throw so much away. This slide just shows some of the basic tips for not wasting as much food, in the household, making a plan, serving appropriate portions, ways to use and store leftovers, and then understanding the dates on foods, which people continue to be really confused about, how to store food safely, and then composting as a last resort. We're still giving these presentations. We've taken a little break because we're all really busy at the transfer station, but our next event, we've given them in the public library in our Heritage Village, which is our 55-year and plus community. We have our presentation up on our YouTube channel, but now we're moving into Grace Meadows, which is a low-income and disabled senior housing project in town, and then also through our Park and Rec to try to reach more people on reducing food waste and telling them about our program at the transfer station. So we're really trying to reach out to the entire town of Southbury. I don't think I have anything else specific, Chuck.
I just wanted to touch on the way we expanded the food waste reduction program that we're doing with the restaurants. What we have found is that we are heavily subsidizing with the grant monies. It's enabled us to heavily subsidize the first year of food scrap collection with the restaurants. And when we got to the end of the first year, where we had the 3 restaurants engaged, we had 1 that continued on. And it's a tight margin and it's tough to run restaurants, right? So we understand. But what we wanted to do was give them more of a reason to continue on and also have a bigger impact in the business. So we created this business waste reduction services program. That's what we call it. And kind of the centerpiece of that is we, again, same way as we partnered with CET, right? We bring in an energy contractor and he does a free energy audit for them. This contractor is very adept at understanding and navigating the Eversource financial incentives and rebates. So they can often do projects at about an 80% savings off the normal price for the business. So the payback periods end up being quite short. They come in specifically, they look at the lightings, the restaurant, they look at the refrigeration, the motors can be upgraded, they look at the solar power, they look at the HVAC systems, the hoods in the restaurant. They're continuously pumping out all the air that you've heated and cooled out into the environment. So there's sensors and so on that can be installed on those. And this is a nice hook because what it does is it frees up some cash. And the philosophy is if we help the business save money in other ways, maybe they'll be more willing to pay for food scraps, recycling. So of course, that's still a center part of it. But we also have another program partner, iRecycle, which comes in and pays them for redeemable bottles and cans. They put bins in their businesses and they split the 5-cent redemption fee for them. They have free pickup. Where our plastic subcommittee goes in and helps the restaurant find more sustainable purchasing options. And, we are generally, as we are with the town, trying to monetize both the cardboard and glass and try to get that out of the trash stream. So this is we're just getting this started. We have a little bit of experience. It's been very successful in our highest volume restaurant. And we're trying to roll this out to more restaurants right now. But so that's really the nub. I just wanted to give you a very high level flyover of the things that we're doing and what the Sustainable CT Match Fund has enabled for us. I can't really say enough about it. It has been if only they'd had that. I was telling Joe ahead of time, right? If they only had the 1.5 match when we did this, we could have done even more. But it's been a great experience for us, and it's been a good alternative to some of the heavier lift funds to get fairly major initiatives off the ground for us. We do have, it's the 4th phase of this long range vision, a desire to work in the schools, but we just don't have the bandwidth to take that on right now in the organization. I will say though, being at the transfer station and doing all this other stuff has helped us attract a good deal more volunteers. So it's raised our visibility in the community as well.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much, Chuck and Helena. Thank you for sharing your experience and both for all of you. Thank you so much for the amount of effort and thoughtfulness and hard work that you've put in to facilitate, food waste and food waste reduction in your town. It's just a great testament to what local community leadership can accomplish. I'm going to have Torin sort of maybe go through the chat and see if there are any questions that we specifically want to pull out of the chat, but to kind of tee things up and maybe get things a little bit rolling off the ground. And this is for Fairfield or for Southbury or for any members there. Is there anything that, from your experience, running multiple projects or currently in the process of running a community match fund project, having implemented various versions of composting projects across your town, is there anything that you recognize now that if you could, you would go back and tell yourself when you started the project, you would say, oh, make sure you do X? Is there anything that really stands out to you as something you had wished you had been able to do at the beginning that you realize now?
I just wanted, it's sort of related to this, is that Chuck is on this networking group that we have. We kind of aren't the right name, but we're through Sustainable Fairfield County, and we meet monthly to talk. It's called the Food Scraps and More because we kind of go all over the place. But it's a great way to connect with people. And I saw Joanna was on from Westport, and one of the things is a lot of us have transfer station drop off for compost, and then we're doing this in the school, hoping that the school kids will take it home and we'll see an increase in the drop offs at the transfer station. And I was told that that didn't translate, that getting the composting in the schools didn't bring it home to the people. So hearing that, for us, we're trying to make sure that we can increase the drop-off rate at the transfer station, and we are trying to figure out how to really push the information home so that it happens at the schools, but it also then it gets taken to all the residential households. So we haven't started yet, but because of this networking group, that's top of mind for us. So that's helpful.
Great, thank you. Anything else? Chuck, Helena, Becky? Great. So there was a question in the from David Oakes. Was there any resistance from the Board of Education, from the board, from admin, from folks as you were looking at doing these projects, or were there any in-house obstacles that you specifically had to overcome?
For Fairfield, it was a logjam. We couldn't get anything. It was very frustrating. And then Megan and I meet with the head of facilities every month and kept asking the same questions over and over. And one of the problems was food rescue. And we thought that was very important in terms of composting because we wanted to use the food at the highest level possible. And there was concern about liability, which I think it was a straw man because there's no problem with liability because of the laws, and they've actually been improved recently. So once we got that done, all of a sudden we could do everything. So aside from, the food rescue, I mean, the share table, we're doing the food rescue. We're doing these, the carton recycling, which I don't know if everyone's aware, but Kelly Green is a company in, I forget where actually, I always get it wrong, but they're going to take your cartons of your milk and juice cartons and turn it into building material. So they had a fire and they've had problems getting back up and running. But one thing we also are planning to do is, even if we don't have a pickup for fill in the blank compost cartons, we're going to have the kids doing the separating from the beginning of school. So even schools that aren't slated to be composting, they're going to be scraping their plates. And actually, we can also compost our trays, which is why Mill Hill was able to go down to one bag. The first week we couldn't do trays, and so it wasn't just one bag. So it's a very big deal to get those trays into the compost and out of the solid waste. And we've been buying compostable trays for years for some silly reason, but not, not able to do anything with other than throw them away. So now that's really helpful. But yeah, we had lots of problems trying to get in and do stuff, and same with the volunteers. That's a big hurdle for us. We need to figure out how we can get the volunteers in.
I think that's universal. We certainly had it with the town. I highlighted the public works issues, the other issues in town of getting all the various town officials talked into doing the program. And certainly another pivotal moment was when our first selectman started separating his food scraps for his chickens. And so then it seemed like things got a little bit, more supportive after that. He was supportive to begin with. It's just, all the classic concerns and problems, right? Are we going to have bears? Are we going to have rodents? Is this going to pay for itself? And we're still battling that issue. But it really is. It's just getting the right people involved and finding your way through the decision makers, the key decision makers and influencers, and in the system that you're dealing with.
Awesome. Great. So we've got a couple of minutes. Are there any other questions that folks don't have in the chat? Is there, you can use the little icon to raise your hand in the chat box if you'd like to ask a direct question, or you can plop it in the chat area as well.
Oh, I do see a question about who runs the business waste program. That's myself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So you could certainly reach out to, I assume you'll give them my contact information as part of this, but
Yeah, absolutely. Are other folks thinking, maybe a show of hands, who's got sort of a compost project that they're sort of in line and sort of like, yep, we're ready to go in the next, let's say in the next month? Who's got a project they're sort of like, yeah, we want to be ready to go in the next month? Show of hands. Oh, okay. Next. Great. I see that one. Thank you, Elizabeth. Next 1 to 3 months. Great. Yeah. Rachel, Johanna. Great. Awesome. Next 3 to 6 months. So basically anything between now and the end of the year. Awesome. Okay, Anna. Great. And does everyone feel like they could share the compost project and the community match fund process with someone in their town or someone that they know who is engaged with compost? Would you be able to share this with them so that they would know that they can take advantage of these dollars for their projects? See a lot of head nods. Great. Super powerful. That's what we want to see come out of every single session here. Great. Torrin, were there any other questions in the chat? Anything that we would want to surface before we wrap up in just a minute or two?
It looks like one came in from Rachel. Are work binds used for all the food waste compost at Mill Hill? So this might be specifically for the Mill Hill team.
Oh, that's a typo. I meant worm bins.
Oh,
Thank you.
we hadn't talked about that. I used to bring my worm bin into the high school, like the AP Environmental Science and then the elementary schools. It's easy to set up. It's easy to do. You do want to make sure you get the right kind of worms, because some people say they're selling you composting worms, but they're, you know, the jumping worms, and you don't want those released into
No.
the wild.
Oh,
Yeah.
Um,
No. Oh, no.
yeah, and the worm ladies of Rhode Island are no longer doing their things, which is used to be a really reliable source. But yeah, if you walk, there is a master composter program through UConn, and Don Pedinelli runs that, and I would think that they would be, she might be able to tell you a good source. And there is a worm day every year, I think in the fall, where you go and you learn how to set up a vermicomposting bin. You get your worms and you take your bin home with you. So that's one way to get it set up.
Great, thanks, Mary.
Awesome. Wonderful. So thank you so much. I just want to get, tip of the hat to both Fairfield and Southbury teams. And I also see a lot of other folks on here who are representing their towns, and some folks that have run other community match fund projects, not just composting related, but sort of all over the board. So it's exciting to see folks coming back to the table and recognizing that as their needs and opportunities shift in your town, the community match fund is a great resource for supporting the financing need for projects that you're looking to do. And so out of this, we've got this recording. If there are other people from your town or other people that you come across who are interested in composting, please just have them reach out to us. We'll probably have this posted on our website. Give us a few days. Folks can review this recording from the website. They can email us. But I will make sure that I put my contact info in the chat, and everyone will get a message about this soon. But if you are interested in having a conversation about a community match fund project related to composting, or to any other community match fund project or conversation, please reach out to me, send me an email, give me a phone call. My whole purpose here is to really help support and grow our program of support to community leaders who are looking at doing great things in their community. So just want to, with that, say thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to Fairfield team. Thank you for the Southbury team. Really love you and appreciate you so much for the hard work that you're doing, and look forward to speaking with many, many more of you over the next coming weeks and months. Thank you very much for your effort, and have a great rest of the afternoon.
Thank you.